the next thing that I want to move on to is a very simple idea, which is how to avoid pressure and injury, whether it's being thrown, being fallen upon, or being on the ground. And the analogy that I always use is if you think about a plate and you drop it, it shatters because it has a lot of surface area. When you drop a ball, it rolls. So when we fall, we want to curl up in a ball. But I want you to also understand the other aspect of this. So I'm going to ask you to come here. Lie down with your hands where you just flat. Nice and flat. This is not how you want to fall. Right? Maybe how you want to take a nap on a Sunday afternoon, but not how you fall. When you're being thrown, the person might fall on top of you. The person may fall on top of you on purpose. They may want to stomp on you. You're on the ground, they may be on top of you. So we're going to first talk about being on the ground. So, this is just more or less. It's kind of oversimplifying. But it's like a center line too. It's a straight line going north and south. If I want to put pressure, I want to turn and put my sternum or my center line on top of him. And what I want to learn how to do on the ground is put as much weight on him as possible. I apologize in advance. Right, so let's say I'm here and I'm here. Now, here, other people do this. It's not so bad, but you're not putting a lot of weight, right? Because I'm kind of carrying my own weight. If I come up on the balls of my feet, more weight. Now, the thing to learn also is that I always say that every drill is two-sided, meaning that he wants to learn how to feel this weight so he understands it and he gets used to it, because nothing is perfect, right? We may intend to have the right work on the ground, but we still may end up for a moment in these positions with a lot of weight on us. We gotta get used to having weight on us. But I'm also working being on top. If I get this position, I don't want to give up the opportunity of pressing them with much weight. So I'm learning, regardless whether I'm like this, like this, but to sink as much of my weight, you feel right, I'm sinking my weight into his chest so that he feels this weight. Okay, you want to do it to me? Fair is fair, right? So I'm flat. And yeah, it doesn't matter what you do. Now I would say come a little bit more 90 degree angle. That's it. See? Now, yeah, good. You see? Because when you come like we were doing before, you're a little lower, right? It's not as much weight. You want to put weight on my chest exactly because that's where my lungs are, right? And my ribs have to expand to get oxygen in. So the more weight you're putting on my rib cage and my lungs, the harder it is for me to get oxygen into my lungs. Right? Now again, as we study the ground, there's different ways that you put your hands. So you can do this one, you can put this hand over the top. The other way, like put it on this side of my ear, in which case this hand is like right in front of my hip. Right? No, in front of
Other side.
Here. Right? But you want to learn, no matter what position you're in, to keep your weight on my sternum, right? Because that's where my ribs are. And keep that weight on me. Okay? So, come on top of me, what you're doing. Right. So, if I was flat and I let him go, right? And again, he shouldn't have his hips up. He should go on the balls of his feet, and from his ankles to his knees to his hips to his shoulders should be relatively flat. And he should be trying to put as much weight down on the sternum as possible. You can see this, right?
Yep.
So, this is a lot of weight, right? And I don't want to just fight this. Like I've seen people try to bench press people off, right? And there's a famous story about, I won't say who, there's a famous MMA fighter who was on a tremendous amount of steroids and was able to actually press people out of this position. But I doubt most of us are lifting that much weight and taking that many steroids. So, how I talked about how your hips, having your hips too far up, right? Takes the pressure off me. You raise your hips up, right? Now there's less pressure on me. Now raise the strap. Your hips are kind of everything. So the way that I get my weight off of me is I scoop my hips. Now, even if you stay on top of me, move forward, right? But you see where I am, right? He can still put as much weight on me as possible, but the fact that I'm on my side, it's not the same. So, get off of me first. if I was here, right, like I felt, he threw me, and now he's gonna jump on top of me. Jump on top. Right? This is very different. I'm not gonna feel the same amount of weight. Now, I'll do this just for the camera, right? I could be away from him, it could be the same thing. Right, jump on top of me, jump on top of me. Obviously, I wouldn't want to do this in real life because I have my back to him, and if he has good ground skills, he can start like working chokes and arm bars and stuff like that. But the idea of, stand up for a second, right? That here, it's harder for you to put weight on me. Here, it's harder for you to put weight on me. It's also harder for you to stomp me, right? Kick me, you know, whatever. Whereas here, right, I look like I'm dead, right? But here, so I want to be curled up in a ball. So what I want you to do right now is, do some nice curling ball if you need to. Now notice, he's grabbing his ears, right? The same way you block hooks actually to the head. Your chin is on your chest, and your knees come up to meet your elbows, right? Because this is relatively strong. And literally, like I said, dive on top. Right? Now, if I had done that when you were flat, right, you would have sucked, right? Am I making sense? So here. See? Oh. Right. The secret is not just to turn my hips on the side, but to scoop my hips. Okay? Does that make sense? So that, you know, if he's on top of me, I'm always going to turn toward him. I don't want to turn my back to him. And then you get in like this. Now, I'm going to talk about how you fall from standing up in a second. But on the ground, it's this shrinking motion. Hips back. And the other reason the hips go back is that, get on top of me. Right, I could turn toward him, but I wouldn't have a lot of space because my hips go away. See, that gives me space in there. Now, I wouldn't usually use my hand here, but I'm just trying to make things simple. In real life, I would do this, which everybody tells you is dangerous, but it's not if you know what you're doing. Right, all right, hold my hand and do this. Okay. But I'm right now with the concepts. We're not done with as much technique. But you see what I'm saying? You scoot your hip away. Slide it like in between. Yeah, and of course, if you get your feet between them and you, for real fighting on the ground, that's the most important thing. Get your legs between them and you. Again, I'm not doing a tremendous amount of technique right now. Right now, I'm doing more concepts.